Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear respected guests, teachers and friends, and family of course. I'm delighted to see you all today on this momentous occasion. I say momentous because I have seen what previous graduates of the CMC have participated in their communities. And I see a huge potential that the students can contribute to the society that we live in. My thanks are due to the college for giving me this opportunity today to speak. It's not easy for me to speak today before my respected teachers. The teachers that have taught me so much, made me the person that I am and the person that I will continue to grow to be. But I only speak to share some of the experiences that I've had and some of the special moments that I experienced in gratitude to Allah Most High, and to thank all the staff, the lecturers and the supporters of the college. It is their efforts that have facilitated a program of study, a unique program of study for students like myself. It's an opportunity for us to better serve our community. And it's also a way of me giving thanks to my parents and my in-laws and my brother and my brother-in-law who have really gone out of their way to support us in our time studying at the Cambridge Muslim College. Now, whenever my brother would ask me about the Cambridge Muslim College, what I've been up to, I would give him a long list of what Latif had cooked, and the days where he would cook biryani and I would enjoy devouring his wonderful biryani. Or the time that I was spending lying in the hammock in the wonderful forested area that we have by our college, or the lovely trips that we had. To tell you the truth, we would cover so much in a single week that I wouldn't know where to begin in sharing all that I had studied. In fact, it is only now, after completing this entire course, going back into my community and beginning to use the knowledge and skills that I have gained and the experience I have gained, that I'm beginning to understand the profound impact the Cambridge Muslim College has had on me. And I'm sure that I will continue to discover more as time passes. It is not that the college has changed me into a person that I do not recognize, because I am still Safiyya and I still hold strongly to the Islamic tradition, and I haven't lost touch with my traditional roots. So Mum, Dad, my in-laws, just to reassure you, I haven't become some crazy person and I haven't converted into something that you don't recognize anymore, which I know is a fear that many parents have when their students come into an institute like this. In fact, if anything, from the discussions that I've had with my fellow classmates, we all believe that it's enriched our traditional studies. It's helped us to articulate our Islamic worldview in the current context that we find ourselves in. I now have a new skill set, a broader horizon, and a more humble outlook on life. It amazes me how, in the space of a single year, I have been exposed to so many ideas, texts, academics, and opportunities. All this to make me more relevant in a British and European context. It is like Sherman Jackson says, the greatest threat to religion in any society is not persecution, but rather apathy born of irrelevance. What I have experienced is how to avoid being an irrelevant voice of Islam in the times that we find ourselves. It is remarkable to think of a number of circumstances and situations living in Britain where even the most rudimentary knowledge of British intellectuals or British Islam or science turned out to be invaluable. To be specific, understanding the ideas of British intellectuals, whose ideas are the linchpins of modern academic sciences, it's all allowed me to benefit from these ideas. It's given me an opportunity to critique ideas instead of just responding to ideas with mere assumptions of what I think the ideas are. I honestly believe it has provided me a strong background in countless theories and issues. These include atheism, evolution, feminism, among many other things. And so I now have the confidence to rise up to the challenges of the modern materialistic agrarian and supporting the next generation of Muslims in my community to find their indigenous form of British Islam. It is amazing how time flies, but this diploma was definitely time well spent. Although I, like my husband, applied knowing what I wanted to achieve by the end of the diploma, I have to say that it surpassed all my expectations. The the college not only lived up to its promise of delivering lectures of high scholarship, it was so much more than just lectures. The accommodation, which we had a family accommodation for me and my family. The food was provided for on a weekly basis. There was always somebody to answer our questions, which is really something that I've struggled with for a very long time, and I finally had this opportunity at the Cambridge Muslim College. I'm so grateful for the many times I was able to knock on Sheikh Abdul Hakim's door, our dear Dean, to ask questions and seek advice, never once to be rejected. SubhanAllah, I can't be grateful enough for that. I am grateful for the pastoral care and the humble presence of Dr. Atif, who sacrificed so much of his own time to advise me, and in many cases my outpourings of frustration when I couldn't grapple with an idea, or when I first discovered that I didn't know how to write an essay, not to forget the many times he opened the college for us on weekends to use the library to study. I'm grateful to Julian, who was always warm and smiling, and just before we entered the hall, there she was, once again, smiling at me. That support, ready to facilitate anything for us on a daily basis. She even went as far as sacrificing her own spare time to provide transport for us when we were doing our placements at the local university. I am grateful to the many lecturers who engaged in discussions with us over cups of tea outside class. I am grateful to Maimuna, the sisters' exercise instructor, who would encourage us to de-stress and put our faith in Allah during our Tai Chi sessions. I am grateful to Ustadha Mona, who supported us in memorizing Qur'an and Hadith and giving us an opportunity to speak in Arabic each week. I am grateful for opportunities such as chaplaincy and participating in mock interviews with the likes of Roger Mosi, who was a senior manager at the BBC previously. I am grateful to Nabila, Davina, the sisters, with whom we would engage in some really thought-provoking discussions over lunch. And this list would surely be incomplete without mentioning Sheikh Yasir. I am grateful for this teacher who not only delivered the most amazing lessons and the most number of lessons, but continuously raised the bar for us academically. And he was also the teacher who filled our gaps spiritually by offering evening classes on Imam Ghazali's Ihya Ulumuddin from the Book of Knowledge. By the grace of Allah, without all of this that was on offer outside the lecture room, such a rigorous and intellectually challenging year of academic study would have been hard to get through. It really brought together my heart, mind and soul. This safe environment gave me much support and strength that I was allowed to explore and find my feet in a modern, globalized context. I strongly believe it really has lived up to its slogan, faith in scholarship, by providing me with opportunities that would otherwise not have been available to me. I mentioned 3 lessons that have been a major part of my journey. Firstly, I cannot and should not run away from the modern reality we experience and are challenged by daily as Muslims. I must learn about modern thought, whether it's politics, economics, science, or theology. As Plato said, ideas are the source of all things, and yet one cannot learn about modern thought without history, since everything has a history. Every idea, every place, every debate, even the ways we identify, we categorize and regulate ourselves has evolved and changed over time. We can't escape the past. I've learned that I must understand the modern contexts and their history, whether it is art, science, or politics. Secondly, I've learned what it feels like to really beat one's brain. In Dr. Atif's first lesson, he mentioned the mind is a muscle and it must be trained. It felt like I was being stretched in my reading, my writing, my communication skills. I remember the days I would feel so tired reading a paragraph or two, numerous times trying to understand Western intellectual history or modern religious theologians, or the times we would go to the hospital for chaplaincy, where we were doing training and placement, and I would come back home and I was absolutely exhausted. I have been exposed to a different type of scholarship, a way to critically think and question everything, the meaning of everything, the meaning of art, for instance, the meaning of sacred, the meaning of West, the meaning of secular. I was looking for simple definitions, and I realized that things are so much more, and that there are very few hard and fast definitions or concepts. Thirdly, I've learned how much I and all my class have to offer, and the work we need to do to engage with people, just like the Prophet ﷺ was, and the great scholars of the past. An engagement that is full of courage and integrity, a point Dr. Atif drove home in our community development sessions. I've learned to be able to not only articulate myself as a faithful person, but a way in which makes sense to the modern mind. I've realized it requires creativity and sometimes innovative approaches. It was through the lectures and discussions with Rowan Williams and Daniel Weiss and interfaith dialogue with students training to be priests that I realized there is much strength in the Christian and Jewish communities as well in Britain that we can also benefit and take from. Before the college, I was staunchly against any sort of interfaith work and dialogue, but now I only realize how useful it is and how Muslims in the past also worked with those of other faiths and other traditions. When I engaged with others, especially Rosie Dawson from the BBC, who spent a wonderful week with us, I felt the college had taught me to engage in a way that truly is relevant. Last but no means least, I would like to say, to have lived in a historic city with access to knowledge, scholars and books, alongside the diploma at the college, is a blessing from Allah that I will always cherish dearly. Thank you for having this diploma for students like myself. As David Ford, a trustee and a lecturer at CMC said, the college is really about being fully Muslim and fully in this society for the future. It is about being utterly Muslim and utterly academic. It is a blessing that I pray will continue to prosper into something bigger and better in the years to come. I sincerely pray Allah accept everyone's efforts and that the college goes from strength to strength. Jazakallahu khairan.